extremely well in the state. A lot of the policies we've been able to implement on the workforce development, the infrastructure, the education side of it, and really the pocketbook issues, I think, that affect everyday people up here, has really given me the ability and the enthusiasm to run for governor in the state of Missouri. I'm looking forward to this election cycle, believe it or not, and really want to get out there and get the message done out there, because I do believe Missouri's on the right track. We're doing a lot of things to line up with the federal agenda that's working. When you look at the economy that's out there, 42,000 Missourians right now in training programs in the state of Missouri. One of the first times ever we've had that many people in those programs that we're doing things. 40,000 new jobs, $5 billion investment across the state with companies and expansions in the state. And the economy right now, we just need to keep pushing that forward. Need to make sure we're taking up health care for a lot of people across the state. And the other thing that I think is very important for me, and hopefully I'm going to be able to prove that to everybody before it's over, I want to be one of the most transparent governors we've ever had in the state. From day one, we've tried to open the doors to the governor's office, make sure people know what's going on, and try to do what we can to get the information out there. But it's a great honor to be here today. Great to have the First Lady with me today, helping me sign. Elijah's here with me today that works at the office for me. He got to pick my lucky number out today. So Elijah, thank you for helping us today to draw the number. You're welcome. So with that, I'll be glad to answer a few questions.
Governor, you said you were looking forward to this campaign, believe it or not. Why would you think we might not believe that?
Well, I think just the thing for me, I've been around for a little while, and to go through these campaigns, most people kind of dread campaigns, but I think one of the good things about campaigns, it connects you back with the people that you represent every day, and I think that's the positive side of it. And the one thing I think that's always been, I've had the opportunity, I always feel like I've been a good listener. I try to go to the everyday people out there and say, okay, what is it you're wanting me to do as governor? And I think a lot of times we miss that message when we think we know what's best for people, and I think it's always important to listen to people. So that's kind of, I suppose, why I mentioned that, a little twang in that, I guess.
When you were upstairs, you said, this is the last time I'm picking my number. Does that mean you're not going to run after this?
Yeah, I don't see that in my future. I've been very blessed to have the career I've had. I think we're on the right track. I've been around long enough, never say never. But I'd say the First Lady might say never if she was here. But the point of it is, this for me, being the governor of the state of Missouri, is an extreme honor for me. I'm humbled to be able to represent this state. I love the people of this state. I love this state. From day one, when I come out of the military serving this country, I said I would never leave this state again, and I mean to keep that word. So, it's been a great honor to get to do what I want to do, but, we got more work to do. There's a lot of things we can get done in the next 4 to 5 years.
What impact do you think the presidential race is going to have on your ability to win a full 4-year term?
I think it'll be very positive here in the state of Missouri. I think when you look at the president's numbers here, I think they're going to do nothing but improve. And I think when you look at the other side of the aisle, when you look at Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, people like that doesn't line up with Missouri values. I don't even think they line up with the Democrat values in Missouri. The people I know, are hardworking people, and it's what, at the end of the day, what matters to most people. Do I have a better way of life than I did 4 or 5 years ago? That's how people's going to vote. I don't know that anybody's out there anymore one-issue voters anymore. I think it's a matter of where are we going, and when you look at healthcare, you look at education, you look at jobs, you look at those type of things that are going to drive people no matter who they are. So
Governor,
I think it's an advantage to us.
I'm sorry. Governor, some of your political ads that are running in the St. Louis area mention your law enforcement background and how you're going to approach the crime problem, gun violence throughout the state of Missouri. And in St. Louis, I know you've been there a number of times talking about that. Are you prepared at this point to make any changes to any legislation about gun control?
Well, I think right now, I've said that all now, it's going to be a legislative issue. It's going to be difficult to do that because you're going to have people on the Second Amendment side of that. And when I've met with the mayors all across the state, we've really not focused on gun control. We focus on what we can do together. And I think that's a little bit of a misunderstanding that people had originally. But we never really did talk about gun control that much. I know where the mayors feel about that, but we were really trying to figure out what can we do together. And I'll go back to what I said earlier on when we listened about the St. Louis region. And shortly after I became governor, we put boots on the ground up there again for St. Louis. And I think that's having a positive effect. But there is things you can do, this witness protection plans, mental health people, and really getting people on the ground. And I'll take that one step forward. A lot of the nonprofits out there, we need to really look at those and say, okay, who's really having an effect? Who can bring the data back and say, hey, we're having a positive effect in these communities up here? And those are things we're going to look at, and we're going to make sure if you're not, then you don't need to be taking state resources.
You
Right.
have also advocated for increasing penalties for violent criminals. How do you reconcile that stance with your support for closing prisons and trying to reduce the prison population here in Missouri?
Well, I think the prison population, for one, you gotta look at non-violent, violent offenders, and you kind of put them in categories, which we do through the legal system. But I think you have to focus on who are the people that we feel like that we can rehabilitate. How do we get them back in the workforce? How do we get them in society? I think there's a lot of opportunities out there to do that. I think we're on the right track by doing that. I don't think you have to be necessarily soft on crime, because you're gonna give people the skills they need to get out of prison, you know. But the one thing you gotta do is you gotta help them a little bit with some sort of education. You've got to give them some tools they need to go into the workforce. If you don't, then chances are they are going to come back. So we've really focused on that on the prison side of it. But I think we're on the right track of that. I think we will. It's some major changes with the criminal justice reform that we're doing in the state. But I think the end game, it'll be positive for the state of Missouri.
Brian?
Governor, your opponent, a presumptive Democratic nominee, would be Nicole Galloway, the state auditor. What are your thoughts on her and her position? And her big issue is Medicaid expansion. What is your position on that?
Yeah, we're going to differ on the Medicaid expansion. I think the people of the state need to understand how important it is when they go down that road, to know the details of that vote. You know, I mean, when Galloway was there and Nixon was there, we had over 1 million people on the state Medicaid roll out of 6 million. So when you think of that, practically 1 out of every 6 people on Medicaid, and you know, and nobody was verifying the rolls. You know, for over a decade, we just didn't really verify to see who's on those rolls. And I think to go back and verify that is a good thing to do. And here's the other thing I think it's important, it gets lost sometimes. If these kids qualify for Medicaid, we want them on Medicaid. A lot of people are out there, I want to say grandstanding, talking about this, but my question to all of them would be, are you really going out there yourself and trying to help sign people up that they need to be? I think there's a way. The system's made for people to sign up for these programs, and I hope by all means the kids that qualify for that will be qualified for that. I think on the Medicaid side of it, I think you're going to see a lot of outside money. It's going to try to influence the outcome of Medicaid. You're going to see some private sector money come in here to do that. And I also think one thing that's important to remember, that the proposal I know in Medicaid right now is not going to have anything to do with kids, because it doesn't even get to the 300% of poverty rate. So I think it's important for people to know those facts and then make the decisions when they go vote. So, you know, we're going to go out there and try to explain that we think we're on the right track. And the last thing on Medicaid, Brian, I would say about this, look, this system was broke. I don't think anybody denies that it wasn't working right. You know, so why would we ever expand something that's not fixed, it's broke, and try to expand it in government? And I don't know, I've been around a little while, but most government programs I see government starts, I don't see it saving money. I don't see them shrinking. I normally expand. And I think all of us that's been around for a little while knows that.
One more question. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you.
Governor.